everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ljubljana Talks here at IBTM 2024. And with Gorazd, we have another great conversation ahead of us with Iain Bitran from ISPIM, an association that is all dedicated to
managing innovation.
There you go. So we'll be talking about innovation, we'll be talking about associations, we'll be talking about, well, the hottest topic of IBTM, and that is that you are now the proud ambassador of Slovenia forever to be. There you go.
Apparently it's for life, I heard.
Yes, it is.
It's for life.
As long as you have that crystal award you were given, you are the official Congress Ambassador of Slovenia. So there you go.
Thank you. Well, it's proud of place. It's on the mantelpiece at home, so I look at it from where I sit all the time. But that's when I'm at home.
That's what I wanted to say. How you don't look at it often, do you?
Well, I do when I'm at home.
So
I'm very proud to be the ambassador for you guys. Slovenia is a magnificent country, and small but beautiful. And Ljubljana, obviously, the most beautiful city in the world.
That's what I wanted to ask, of course. Is Ljubljana really the most beautiful city in the world?
Yeah, why not? So, when I first went to Ljubljana, it was 2004, and the changes that we've seen have been unbelievable. I remember, thinking that, my first time in Ljubljana, thinking that this is a small city, there's not much happening. The whole area around the riverside was not particularly well developed. And then I went back. I came for the ICA AMP in 2016. 2018? Was it really? Yeah. Oh. The transformation in that time was astonishing. What an amazing city. And the way you have transformed that into a sort of gastronomic capital with amazing food, amazing wine. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, and I think it's a question that I asked you last week, was the whole issue about being green capital in 2016. Was that just a label, or did it actually mean something? Now, you replied to me last week that it actually meant something. It was part of the whole strategy of Ljubljana, and you really do see that when you go to Ljubljana now. And you have, the fact that it's all pedestrianized. When we did our conference last year, we were able to put in so much into our program, which was around sustainability and was around the fact that it's an amazing walkable city, and there was so much to see, so much to experience. That the change since 2004 has been astronomical.
Before we dive deeper into this topic, I need to ask you a little bit about yourself, about your background, about your association, so that everybody will know more about it. Can you wrap up a little bit your career and of course the association itself?
I'll try to do the relevant bits at least. So Iain Bitran, Executive Director of ISPIM, which is the International Society for Professional Innovation Management. And essentially we are a community of 4,500 innovation professionals from 100 countries around the world. Membership is free, please join. We are very much so our members cover the whole spectrum of innovation management. So you can come from a research background, from industry, policy making, consulting, as long as you're interested in that topic. We're a very event-heavy organization. We run 3 conferences a year. Our main one is always in Europe and is always in June. And the one we ran last year in Ljubljana was our 31st conference in our long history. And I think that last year was certainly the biggest conference we'd ever run. And we like to go to, I think it's since the COVID period, we've sort of changed the sort of types of cities that we go to. We want smaller cities, we want walkable cities, we want cities that appreciate us being there. Because what I think is really important is that we're able to showcase from an innovation perspective what's happening in the city to an international audience. And there's a lot of talk in the events industry about legacy and about impact. I'll tell you something, if you don't bring people together, nothing happens. if you do bring people together, and I'm talking about international innovation professionals with the local innovation ecosystem, you know what? Stuff will happen as a result of us being there.
So, how would you combine that with the fact that we are talking about, the positive and the negatives of meetings, right? So, I agree with you. We bring people together and magic happens, but also pollution happens. So, how do you, as ISPIM, how do you view sustainability questions and how do you address it?
Okay, a really good question. So, when you do meetings, people have to travel to meetings. That is the necessary evil, if you will. So we already have, if we're getting people from 50 countries around the world, we already have a carbon footprint. What we're trying to do, and actually the conference we did in Ljubljana helped, focus our minds more in that direction as well, is we're trying not to add too much to that carbon footprint. So, for example, if you have simple examples, if you have a gala dinner, don't have people, being bussed there. You get people to walk, or you get people to use public transport. And we had a deal with public transport, whereas people just showed their badge at the bus, and they got to use public transport for free. So it's very interesting, actually. The venue, we use Sankario Dome, and they have sustainability policies in place. So no bottled water. There are a lot of, we encourage people to bring their own bottles with them and to refill them using the water fountains that were there. The caterers, so we mostly use Jezerszek, and what we really liked...
He's a pioneer actually of sustainable catering in the region, I would say. Yeah.
What we really liked about using Jezerszek was the fact that we were able to, they have a policy whereby they withhold 10% of the food. It's stored in such a way that it can be then donated, for example, to a homeless charity. And we wanted to connect with the community. So it's a way of us giving something back to the community as well. People don't realize actually that you can't just sort of take the food that's on a table and hand it over to someone. It's got to be done in a safe way. And the way they do it is really well done. And actually, we also, because we do a number of innovation tours in our conference where we go out and see innovation in action, and we were actually able to include that homeless charity in our tour. So we had people who were previously homeless taking people on the tour to show how the city of Ljubljana is now looking after them, and how caterers such as Jezerszek are able to give something back to the city, and it's linked to an event. So, for us, it sort of brought it very much in focus about how do we reduce food waste. And since then, actually, we've written a sustainability policy into our RFP. And it's interesting. I actually got an email yesterday from another association asking us about sustainability. And about what we have in our RFP. So obviously I was able to send her what we put in. And that's been something that we added as a result of being in Slovenia, because you have this focus on sustainability and on being green, and you actually do it. It's not greenwashing. You actually do it in real life. And that's what's so impressive, because I'm sorry, there are many destinations that do a lot of greenwashing.
Yeah, that's a big problem. But I will come to that from another point of view, a lot of associations are now media houses too, so you are producing a lot of content for your members and so on. How is this happening in your case, Are you doing a lot of that, So to maintain this community, to make this community stronger, or I don't know, even to create your own media, at the end of the day.
Well, I dressed as a dragon, if that helps. And we did a whole video where I walked around your city dressed as a dragon. And we used that, obviously the dragon, for those who people don't know, is the symbol of Ljubljana. And the reason we did that was to show off the city, show off different venues, and to use that as the starting point for our conference. So it was a bit of humor in it as well. I got to dress up for 4 hours and walk around the city. We could look at it from the point of view that, people come to our conference because of the content. It's quite a naive way of thinking about things.
Yeah, it's legitimate.
Right. So yes. So people. We run scientific-based events. People need an excuse to come. They need to get a ticket, and the ticket is that they submit a paper or an industry case study. It gets approved through our approval system, and then they get a ticket to the conference. Well, actually, they've got to buy a ticket to the conference. What we also need to do, which is really important, is to sell the destination. The destination is a huge factor in all of this. And if we don't sell the destination, then people might say, you know what, I'll skip it. I'll come next year. And what I found is that Ljubljana was a real draw. And we were able to pick up on a lot of the facts, a lot of stuff around sustainability, a lot of stuff around good wine. You do have great wine. And, you know, if people wanted to be active, you have mountains galore as well. And the sort of the lifestyle that people have. So we were able to pick up on the sort of small is beautiful. You know, it's a small country that punches well above its weight, and we were able to sort of use that when we were trying to promote the destination. And I guess since COVID, that's become really quite important because you know, people had 2 years of imprisonment and they want to get out and they want to meet people. You know, we still have to meet, you know, and we have to meet in person. Yeah. People still need to have real experiences, and we were able to do that in Ljubljana, especially. People really love the destination. They really love the fact that we're able to do sustainable events, and they love the food and drink.
Well, you touched on something there that I love to comment. And that is that, you know, you are very much connected with the meetings industry. You are at many industry events, you know, you are present, you are very active as an association, but also with other associations. Now, within the meetings industry, what we see is there are a lot of industry events happening. We would sometimes say too many. There's new events popping up, the calendar is, you know, only as big as it is. We have events that are overlapping. Is that also the case with your association? How do you see that?
There are a lot of meetings, of course. We don't have any real competitors as such. Just because our field is, I mean, it's quite strange. It's innovation management. It's about as broad as it gets. But it's also, we're the only real association that does that. There are some in the US, for example. What we find is that there are probably in our field too many meetings. Our door has always been open. We always like to collaborate with others. However, that's, you know, people are quite protective of their environment. They're quite protective of their, you know, what it is that they do, and they always say it's quite different to what we do. I tell you something though. What is interesting is that collaborations can happen in a different way. So, you know, a good friend of mine, John Bruno, he runs the International Ecotourism Society, and we're collaborating. We're collaborating on our next event. He is very much interested in innovation in sustainable tourism. You know, obviously we have the innovation angle. He comes from the ecotourism perspective. So he's going to run a track in one of our next conferences, which we're running in Bergen next year. So it's interesting how we're not competitors, but we are the sort of, you know, on the innovation side, that's what he's looking for. He's looking to get insights from delegates that come to our conference from the innovation perspective. And so we can use that to talk about ecotourism. So I think that that doesn't mean we have fewer events. It just means that our events become richer, I think, in content. Ultimately, will we end up having fewer events? I don't know. It depends on how willing people are to collaborate and to run events together.
For those who do not know that, can you tell us more about your decision process? How do you decide actually as association for the next location? And yeah, why? You explained already about the second tier destinations, smaller cities and so on. Can you share some interesting facts and figures for the future?
So how do we?
You can just say, you know, you only go in Europe where CityDNA, you know, EU CVB network is there, or they're members of CityDNA or something like that. You know.
How do we decide? That's a very good question. So, what's important for us is to connect with the city and the region or the country that we're in. Without that connection, we wouldn't go to a destination. And so for us, it's really important to connect with the innovation ecosystem in the country or the region, city that we're in, because we want to showcase what's happening in that innovation space to the outside world, to an international audience. And it's not just the people who are attending the conference, it's also our reach is tens of thousands of people. So if we are not able to do that, then we would not go to that particular destination. So for us, the first people we contact is always the Convention Bureau. And without the Convention Bureau, and we view very much the connection as being a partnership. And actually, the getting us to sort of sign that contract, getting us to the city is just the start of the project. We look at...
I agree with that, yeah.
We look at, you shouldn't just then disappear. You're there, and you were, throughout the conference, and then after the conference. What have we learned? How can we bring back other events? How can we measure what actually, as a result of our conference taking place in the city of Ljubljana, how can we measure what happened as a result of that? And that's where sometimes it's difficult to measure, but you ask people what's happened as a result of doing the conference there. All I know is if you don't connect people, nothing happens. So by connecting people, things do happen.
Well, I can say that it also goes the other way around. Because of your event, we've actually started several new collaborations, and we started new connections with certain organizations that we didn't do before. I know, because you by organizing the activities for the conference, we connected you with certain organizations that became your partners, and I think that's very relevant. And the visibility of the conference was actually huge within the city. And if nothing else, the opening of the event was great. And you did manage to bring the kids from the local school to sing.
We did. That was an interesting start to the conference. So, good friend of mine, obviously someone who's known, I think, in the industry a bit, a guy called Brian Allen. Brian runs a company called Rock Your Business, and what Brian does is he energizes conferences. Okay, so this is my latest thing, which is why. When we start conferences, why do we torture people, right? Why, at the first coffee break, are people on Amazon looking how to, buy rope and razor blades? Because a lot of conferences just do that. And, the question is, after, how do you get people going to that coffee break wanting to stay at your conference? Mm-hmm. So what we did with Brian was, Brian is Scottish. He's a singer. He's a singer-songwriter. Lives in Poland. During the start of the Ukraine war, he would go down to the refugee camps and get kids to sing. Mm. That releases emotions. He did a beautiful thing with a lot of the kids. And so we got him to do something similar at ICA when ICA was in Krakow. We thought, well, you know what? Let's get him to do something. We'll do it at the beginning of our conference in Ljubljana. So we managed to get a whole bunch of kids from Ljubljana on stage. Hey, nothing to do with innovation, by the way. It's just something uplifting. And you never know, some of those kids might end up being amazing innovators, but it's something for the kids to remember. Meeting planners. Yeah, exactly. They'll never get paid then. But the whole point was, let's energize the conference in a different way, so that people are going to that coffee break going, wow, this is something we've never seen before. This is something we feel inspired. The kids inspired our delegates to want to come back. This
is per se regenerative. This is what you did was sustainable in its core, actually. So it's a definition of it, So I like it from that point of view too,
Because it also gets people energized. So what else are we going to do? We're going to put a whole bunch of speakers on, a whole bunch of slides, and people are falling asleep. And they're texting me, who is this guy? Or, why are we doing this discussion panel? We're bored. why are we doing that? Why? And my challenge actually to a lot of people who are organizing conferences is why? How do people go? How the first coffee break? How do you get people to want to come back to your event and not want to leave? Because 95% of people will want to leave because conferences are done in a traditional manner still, and we need to change how conferences are done, not in a weird way.
We talked all day about it, but yeah, still, this is old habits really die hard.
They do,
yeah.
but you need a bit of imagination, and you need to think about, if you were a delegate, what would you want to do? Because I've been to plenty of events where I'm thinking...
But you're thinking from perspective of your participants, your members, not from another angle, that's important.
Absolutely, you've got to think, you've got to think about what it'd be like if you were sat there.
Exactly.
And I am sat there.
And we learned today that because of that, we spent 4 to 5 years on boring events, which is a disaster in your whole life, 4 to 5 years, that's not good, no? My last question, because Jan, you will have one more, is about your relationship with PCOs and event agencies and so on.
Oh, we don't work with PCOs.
You don't work, okay.
I work with DMCs.
Okay.
Because they have the knowledge that we need. I mean, basically, we're a small organization, and 85% of our business comes from events. So we are our own PCO. But we work with DMCs because they have that local knowledge. We work with DMCs that can be creative and can help us put together a great program.
Well, it's time for us to finish up these Ljubljana Talks. And we usually finish with short fire questions. So we fire them and then you can elaborate or you can be quick on it. Beer or wine?
It depends. Depends what I'm eating and what time of day it is. Both.
Scotch or Irish whiskey?
Japanese.
Oh my gosh, cool. And then, of course, walking or cycling?
Cycling.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you like this: apple or pineapple?
Pineapple.
Can you elaborate?
More exotic.
More exotic.
Thank you very much, Iain, for doing this talk with us.
Can I make one more point?
Sure.
So, I was speaking recently in Asia, and a lot of the talk was around sustainability at events such as the ones that we're in. And the conversation went to and fro. I said, you guys have never been to Conventa. Because what you guys do is amazing and it's sustainable.
And we measure everything. So.
You do.
So innovation starts with measurement, and then you can innovate.
Even at the event I went to last week, I was asked, how did I get there? Walking, bike, train, whatever. So you guys do it really well.
Thanks. Mark your dates, your calendars. Conventa is taking place in February, so we'll see you soon. And thanks, Iain, for everything what you share with us. And you are the last guest today, so stay tuned tomorrow. We start at 10 o'clock sharp in the morning, and see you tomorrow. Thanks.